set up this foundation so that I could pursue causes that I could still have an impact on as a private citizen. So I picked the things that I cared about, and I could do things that were quite important that governments normally don't do. You take any nation, you will find that intelligence, ability, aspiration are all evenly distributed across the society, but organization, investment, and opportunity are not. When you get into this business, you have to recognize that a certain amount of humility is important. There to restore, if you will, the connection between people's efforts and actions and positive consequences. You can't possibly do that kind of work unless you do it with other people.
So, watching that, thank you. I realized that it's not only inspiring, but it can be a little intimidating. And so, before I asked my dad to join me on stage, I just want to say one more thing, which is that you don't have to be blessed to have a last name Clinton, and you don't have to be blessed in the way that I have been so fortunate to have two remarkable role models in my life, to realize that each of us really can play a part and make a difference. And so I hope that you'll leave here tonight after listening to my dad and having fun, thinking about ways that you can translate what you care most about in your own community right here in Los Angeles or in our global community anywhere in the world into how to make a real measurable difference. And I hope that you'll also think about ways in which we can help you do that through the different work that we do already, or maybe ideas that you have for things that we could be doing and therefore we should be doing. So I hope you'll listen to my dad, think about what each of you can do, and yes, to echo LL Cool J, I hope you'll vote. So I'd like now to ask my dad to join me, a man who understands why every vote counts and every voice matters.
Hello. Wow. Thank you for being here. I have to thank some people, and then I want to say a couple of things. First of all, let's give a round of applause to Brad Gray and his team here at Paramount. They've been great to host us tonight. Thank you, Diageo. Thank you, DJ Monster Trucks. Thank you, Darren Criss. I like Glee. You like Glee? It's a good show, huh? Thank you, LL Cool J. God, he's a hunk, isn't he? If I had muscles like that, they'd accuse me of being on steroids. He got them the old-fashioned way. I want to thank the Ruse. They're a great young band, and one of them grew up with my daughter and is one of our closest friends. So thank you, John Dower. Thank the Ruse. I want to thank Robin Thicke, who's going to come out when I finish.
Thinking you say Robin Moore.
Who's terrific. I want to thank all the event chairs and the hosts, but three especially because they got the largest number of you to come. Amir Tarani, yes. Michael Kivas, and Alex Avon. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Villagrosa, who just came. We're glad to have you here. And I want to thank my daughter for working so hard in the foundation, as well as all the other things she's doing. It's a a great joy to me to have her be on all our boards. And today she went out to El Monte to visit one of our schools that is working in the Alliance for a Healthier Generation to turn back the tide of childhood obesity. I want to say first, we started this Millennium Network to give mostly young people and some not so young people the chance to be a part of the work of our foundation for a modest amount of money, because I wanted a lot of people involved in this work all over America and all over the world. We have events like this in New York every year, but we have them in Chicago and other cities in America, and we have them in London and other places around the world, so that people who care about these challenges that you saw a little bit about in the film can have an impact. And I want you to know that we try to be really careful with your money and to spend it according to a clear theory of the case, which is we live in an interdependent world. We cannot escape each other. The only question is whether the interdependence we have within America, look at all the diversity in this crowd, and beyond our borders, will be positive or negative. It is our job to see that every single person has the chance to live up to his or her God-given capacities. It is our job to try to create a world of shared prosperity, of shared opportunity, of shared responsibility. Our failure to do that hurts us. There's too much poverty and inequality in America and around the world. That is not only horrible for the people caught up in it, it's a big constraint on the economic growth of America. There's too much instability in the economy and in our vulnerability to various security threats. It not only hurts the people who get hurt, it's a severe constraint on the future of the young people here. And whatever anybody else says, we can't continue to use and to develop energy and other local resources the way we're doing without causing calamitous damage to the planet and compromising your future. We have to change the way we produce and consume energy and other resources. And so what we try to do is to take that, the big long-term plan, and turn it into a short-term opportunity to prove that we can build a world with more shared prosperity and shared responsibilities and shared opportunities if we see the problems we have as opportunities. You see the number you saw on the AIDS drugs. There, in 70 countries, 4.5 million people get their AIDS drugs off contracts negotiated by our foundation that are the lowest prices in the world. We did it by changing the way the market works. We have had a 90% reduction in the total calories served to children in school through drinks in the cafeteria and in vending machines in the last 5 years by changing the way the market works and those things. But there are lots of other things. There are a group of women, Afro-Colombian women, who live along the Tana River in Colombia. They were blown out of their villages by narco-traffickers. And they, not we, they were smart enough to figure out that that river and the atmosphere there was maybe the best place in the whole world to grow organic spices. And so they did. But they had no way to market them, so we helped to market them, and we've more than tripled their income. So now, soon they'll be available at a store near you. I visited some of our farmers in Malawi, in a rural area where the per capita income is still less than $1 a day. There were a dozen of those we were helping with seed, with fertilizer, with marketing. A dozen picked to talk to me, and the spokesperson was the only woman in the group. And the year before we went to work there, she was a widow with one child. Her total assets in life consisted of a 1/4 acre of land on which she had earned $80 for a year. I don't know how she stayed alive with her child. but she was a very good farmer. And with new fertilizer, new seed, and with our taking her food to market, so she didn't have to pay half her income like a lot of African farmers do just to get their food to market. The next year, her income was $400. It went up fivefold. She thought she was a wealthy person. She sent her child to school for the first time. That's the kind of stuff you're paying for. And here's the point I want to make about that woman. And the terrible knotted feeling gripping America today. I saw a story the other day saying that life expectancy among Americans has continued to rise, except among one group. Non-Hispanic, white, non-college educated adults. The life expectancy in the last 20 years for women has dropped 5 years, for men 4. Now, the article said, well, it's because smoking went up among that group, especially and more among women than men. So that explains the disparity. This is unbelievable to have 5 years lost of life expectancy in 22 years. And then it said, and obesity, diabetes, and the attendant consequences, heart attack, stroke, various kind of cancers, they went up in this group. And they said among younger people, drug-related deaths went up, almost 100% of them prescription drugs, because there's still a lot of young people that don't know the basic biochemistry, which is if you mix OxyContin with alcohol and you go to sleep, it can kill you because it kills the part of your brain for 4 or 5 hours. It tells you to breathe while you're asleep. Now, that's all true medically. But how come other people with the same economic problems didn't have their life expectancy go down? Because that group of people, the group whose life expectancy went down, they came into life with a certain set of expectations about the American dream, about what life in America would be like. Other people came into life thinking they might get it if they worked for it. And a lot of those people died of a broken heart. I work all over the world. I spent a lot of time in Rwanda, where 10% of the people were slaughtered in 1994 in 90 days. And then 4 years later, the per capita income was still under $1 a day, $268 a year. And 12 years later, it was $1,100 a year. And today, it's the only country in the world where the majority of the members of its parliament, women, and half the governors, women, and half the mayors, women. And what is the lesson of all this? If you think tomorrow can be better than yesterday, you can deal with anything. And if you think all the tomorrows for the rest of your life cannot be different from yesterday, you can be overwhelmed by anything. That's why a sense of empowerment, understanding and empowerment, is the most important gift you can give somebody. And it's also why cooperation is so much more important than constant conflict in the modern world. Honestly, a lot of what passes for dialogue in America today looks like a food fight among kids in a cafeteria. And it doesn't work. And so all I try to do is to figure out how to explain things to people, get them involved, and empower them so that they believe their tomorrows will be better than their yesterdays. And their kids will be better. And that's what I will use your money to try to do. And I will try to squeeze every last impact out of it. We run a flat, lean organization. We have low overhead. We try to get the governments to give us money to also have low overhead, and not to waste your tax dollars by taking money off the top before it goes to foreign countries. And I'm very proud that under this Secretary of State, they've done a better job of that than ever in my life. But I want you all to think about that when you go home. think about a woman farming a quarter of an acre in a remote place in Malawi. Think about our reforestation project there, where it's so far away from everything, it took me an hour and a half to go 18 kilometers, about 11 miles on the road. Nobody there had ever been to school. In the other two villages where we had this reforestation money, where they could earn money from rich countries for growing trees, people did something that you and I would have done. They said, we want mango trees in one place, we want orange trees in one place. When they fall off, we'll sell them, we can make money, and the trees will stay up. And the place I went, they said, this is the hottest place in our country. We're miserable. We all live in mud huts or brick huts. We want some light wood that we can harvest in a sustainable way so we won't be miserable every single night when we go to bed. So we found some trees that had grown 8 feet in 2 years. And all the old people were out sitting under the trees in just 2 years. And I went there, but these people, none of these people have ever been to school. So they had the villagers to decide what to do with the money we were giving them. Now keep in mind, they're living on less than $1 a day. You know what they decided to do? To take 55% of it and save 45% of it so that their neighbors in the next village could finance a similar project. They had nothing, and they had better sense than we do half the time. So why am I telling you this? They didn't have to be told that the most important thing in life is to feel that you can make tomorrow different from yesterday. That's what thrilled them. That's what we need. That's what I try to do. That's what you have contributed to tonight. And in all of these things, cooperation works better than conflict. One more serious thing, and then I'll bring on Robin. I just read a book by a guy who makes me look young, which is harder to do every day. The great Nobel Prize-winning biologist E.O. Wilson, who is 87 years old, has written what is almost certainly his last book. It is called The Social Conquest of Earth. And the book is mostly about how people came into being and how it was an accident and all kind of crazy stuff could have happened and our whole species never would have appeared. And then once we got here, it's an accident that we lasted as long as we did because there were so many opportunities along the way for us to be wiped out. However, for some years now, the only people that can destroy us are us. And he said the reason is we are one of the great cooperators on planet Earth. And the cooperators have triumphed. They are ants, termites, bees, and people. You laugh, but the combined weight of all the ants on Earth is greater than the combined weight of all the people on Earth. Right? And he said the reason people have been able to do such great things is that they are the only cooperators that have both a big brain that gives you consciousness and conscience. And our only problem is we think we're smarter than we are, so we keep pushing things we know we got no business doing that are self-destructive. But every time we get right up to the edge, we pull back and take some other leap, and we keep going. But we keep going through cooperation, through caring about our neighbors, through wanting everybody to have the same chance. My foundation is obsessed with figuring out how to do that. That is what you have done. And I hope in some way every day you'll think about that. And you'll think about that woman who made $80 and could hardly feed her kid and keep him alive and didn't give up. And why so many of our neighbors give up? Because they believe tomorrow will not be different from yesterday. That's what we all have to do. And that's what we all can do. I am more grateful than I can say for your support. But we need to do this on every block, in every place in America and around the world. We have to create this idea that people can be empowered through cooperation to make tomorrow different from yesterday. And that's what you did tonight. Thank you, and God bless you.